At the end of this tutorial, we'll introduce you to flow painting, where we can create interesting effects with still images. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Before you begin this tutorial, please click on the link in the description down below and download the flow map painter, the flow map example, and the texture. So we're going to download the flow map painter first. And once you've downloaded that, you want to open up Blender. And while Blender opens up, you want to click on Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and you want to click on Install. Then go to your downloads, and you want to find the flow map painter and install it. And just install add-on. Once you've installed the add-on, just type in flow map painter. You want to make sure it's turned on. If it's turned on, we're in action. The next thing you want to do is download your flow map example, which is very important to do, and open this up. This will take a little while if you've got a slow computer like mine, but it's a necessary step. Alright, you'll be presented with this scene that's locked in based on the workflow of the person who uses this. The only thing that you need to worry about is change this to shader editor so we've got a bigger screen to work with. The only thing that we have to worry about in this example is all of this. So we want to copy this all to a new file. So the way I do it, and it works, is I select all of this and I press Ctrl G to create a group. And once I've created a group, I press Tab to leave the group. It will take a little while for my computer to load. It might take a while for your computer to load as well after pressing Tab. And then we've got this node group over here. And I just rename this important files or whatever it may be. I use something like this in the tutorial, name it something like this. Once you've done that, I also like to make it a fake user so it can't disappear if it's not in use, but it's not required. Once you've done that, you want to click File, and you want to Save As, and you want to save this flow map example somewhere where you'll find it. In this case, we're going to save it to the desktop, Save As. Once you've done that, you want to go to the scene that you're working on. Let's go New, General. And let's say we want to work in this scene. We're going to press File, Append, and we know we saved it to the desktop here. And we just have to find the exact file. This one here, flow_map_examples, the one we used. We click Append, and we need to use the node tree. And the one we want to use is important files. And just like that, when we go over here and click on our shader, we can now press Shift A, and under groups, something appears. Now the reason why two things appear is because within important files, let's drop this in here. If we click this and press Tab to open it up, we will notice that there's a node group within the node group called flow maps. So don't worry about that too much. Press Tab, but essentially this is what you need to finish the scene. It's very important that you use this. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Step 1, select your default cube, press X to delete, press numpad 7 to be in top orthographic view, press Shift A, and we're going to use a mesh known as a plane. And then we're going to press N to get this menu bar open, and we're going to increase the dimension of the X-axis, double that of the Y-axis. So 4 and 2 is perfect. Once you've done that, the next thing you want to do is go to this over here, and we're going to add a new material. Link in the description where to find this material. And we're going to add an image texture, and I've downloaded it to my desktop already. Jupiter, there we go, in 8K. Alright. Next thing I'm going to do is add a modifier quickly. Subdivision surface, keep it on simple, ramp it up to 6. add another modifier, subdivision surface, and that should be more than enough modifiers for this example. We're going to change to material viewport so we can see what we're doing, and now we're going to set up our scene. We're going to lift this up, and then we're going to bring this down to about there so we can still see the timeline, and we'll change this to our shader editor. And there you have it. Now there's a few things we need to do here. We need to select this over here, press Shift A, go to color and choose mix RGB, connect that, select this, press Shift D, duplicate. And obviously when you use the same image, not much is going to change. It's going to look pretty much the same, but we'll do a few more things to this quickly. In fact, let me select both these and just move it down. There we go, so it's out the way. And now you want to press Shift A, group. There's nothing here, so we're going to press File, Append, and we're going to use this file called Important. And now when I press Shift A, group, I can use the important file. And hopefully I explained this in more detail before I showed you this. Alright, the next thing I want to do is connect the bend to the bend. And I want to bring this down to here. And connect the UV to the vector and the UV variable to this vector. UV shifted by 0.5. Okay, that's perfect. Now that we've got this set up, I'm quite happy with it. We can now press Object. Well, before we do, we might as well open up one more tab to about there and change this to Image Editor. And now we can select an image and we're going to use the flow map so we can see what the flow map shows. And I'm going to press Object, go into Texture mode with the plane selected. I'm going to click on Tools, and I'm going to scroll down to where it shows flow map. But we have to scroll up first and make sure flow map is selected. If it's not selected, you'll be doing it the wrong thing. Let me just show you this. If we select this important, if I haven't showed you this already, and we press Tab and go into it, our whole system is dependent that the flow map is used. So if you're not using the flow map here, it's not going to work. It's very important that you use the flow map. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to scroll all the way down to the 3D flow map paint, and the only thing we need to do now is zoom in and click flow map 3D paint mode. And we are going to create this, and obviously we can press escape to stop and spacebar to play, and we can see the movement there. And the nice thing is you can leave this playing. At the bottom there you can see the timeline is moving, and you can continue to paint and just get it to move the way you want. And it just does it gives a very interesting effect. Then obviously for this over here, you might want to go zoom in and go there we go. And you can have lots of fun with this. It's not going to be perfect in this tutorial, it's just to demonstrate how this works. And take your time in this part of the process, have some fun. You can get some really interesting effects here. In fact, I'm definitely going to add this to my sun tutorial. And just looking at this, knowing that it's got these pastel colors over here, squiggly lines, I might as well do something like that to get it moving so we can see the storm. And you can just zoom in and take your time with this. Perhaps we make this go the opposite direction. And yeah, just have fun with this. There we go. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty cool effect. Over here we probably want to do this. Bring that out like that. Bring that out like that. Maybe bring the middle here going inward for an interesting effect, so it looks like a storm. Perhaps do the same over here. And just paint away. What I'm doing is left clicking and painting away. And you can control the paintbrush by pressing F and moving the mouse bigger or smaller. And if you want to go bigger, which is not going to look as cool, but you could do something like this. It's going to take a lot more processing power and it will slow things down. So I'm not going to do that again, but you get the idea. You could do bigger sweeps like that. But at the same time, you're not going to have as much control. So perhaps it's not the wisest of things. Let's press F, bring the mouse in to about there. And do this, and then do something like that. So we can see it as if this planet were alive and yet it's a still image. That's the beauty of this. And it looks like this middle piece here is missing. Perhaps we should do something like that and bring this out like that, and then bring this in like that. And you have so much control. I mean, you could literally decide right over here, you're going to just spin this around and create your own little swirly storm there if you wanted to, which is quite cool. It's loads of fun. And let's do this side. We're almost done. Alright, so I'm more or less happy with this. This is good enough for this example. It will have to do. And you just press escape to stop. And let's pause this for now. Go to frame 1. And now let's turn this into a planet. So now we have to press Shift A. Hold on, first go back into object mode, pardon me. And we can actually minimize that. We don't need to look at that. We can press Shift A, and we're going to make use of an empty known as a plane axis. Then we're going to select this plane again. Let's rename this plane to Jupiter. And we've already got 2 subdivisions here, and the approach we're using at the moment is non-destructive. Let's use simple deform, change this to 180, and turn it to bend, and then click on this and press Shift D to duplicate it, change this to 360, and make this on the Z-axis bend. And now let's connect the empty to this, and nothing will happen just yet, but as soon as you select the empty, and press N, click on this over here. Let's bring this down so we can see what we're pressing. Item, and just change the rotation of the x-axis to 90. Boom, we've got a perfect sphere. And you might want to click on the sphere and just right click and shade smooth if you haven't already. And now, just to make this save time, I'm just going to apply everything because that's all I really wanted. I could leave it as is, but it's perfect the way it is, so I'll just apply this. And I'll select this and press X to delete that empty, and press Shift A, and I'll add a new empty known as a circle. And I'll press numpad 1, I'll press G, Z, and I'll just bring this somewhere in the middle like that. And I'll select the Jupiter, and I'll shift select this empty and press Ctrl P to create a parent. So now when I move this empty, I'll be moving the object. So let's look at our camera view quickly. Perhaps we want to just change the angle of this. So we press R to rotate. Something like that should be interesting. R, X. So that should be good. And then R, Z. I'm looking for the big storm. There it is. R, Y, R, Z, R, X. And perhaps Rx. Perhaps I should just choose a position that I like on this. Maybe we start over here. Control Alt numpad 0. Let's click on our camera. Let's press G. Let's select object data properties for our camera and maybe zoom in a little bit. Press G just to move this in position so it takes the full frame. And the one thing we could do that could be quite interesting is we could select this rig, this empty, and perhaps we should go to our timeline and press I and click location rotation. Well, it's location and rotation. It's actually only rotation we're using here. Let's go to the end frame. In this case, it's 250. And let's rotate this. So what we want to do is you want to press rotate, and then you have to choose the axis. So now if you choose the y-axis, it looks funny, but if you choose the y-axis again, it looks correct, because you want to be on the local axis. So we're just going to up this to, let's try that again, R, Y, Y. Maybe just about that much, and then we press I again, rotation. So when we go back and we press play, okay, we're not seeing it move. Right, so let's select this, delete, select this, delete, go to keyframe 1, change this to local, and that will probably be the difference. Press I, rotation, go to the end frame, press R, Y, perhaps make it yeah, and press I, rotation. Let's see if it works now. There we go. So that's what we want. Looks a bit blurry there. Perhaps I should have spent more time on making that look right. But you get the idea. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.